Coming up, it's Sharon High School taking on Wellesley High School. That's next on High School Quiz Show. Hi, everybody, and welcome to High School Quiz Show. I'm Joe Hanson, your host. Today's match features Sharon and Wellesley. These two schools have a combined 15 quiz show appearances, with both still looking to be crowned champion for the first time. As always, we start with the toss-up round. All answers are worth 10 points. There are no point deductions for wrong answers, and players, you may confer. All right, teams, if you're ready, good luck. Here we go. In his 2025 University of Maryland commencement speech, what amphibious Muppet told grads, "Life is better when we leap together"? Alex.
Kermit.
Kermit the Frog is right. Albert Einstein was born in 1879. On what date celebrated by mathematicians as Pi Day? Josh.
March 14th.
Yes. What adorable circus animal is the only title character in a Disney animated film who does not talk? Josh.
Dumbo.
Dumbo is right. What current manager of the Boston Red Sox is one of only 4 people to win a World Series with the Sox as both a player and a manager? Julius.
Cora.
Alex Cora is right. For our next question, take a look at your monitors. Pictured here is a poster for the 1932 film The Mummy. It was inspired by the 1922 discovery of the largely intact tomb of what Egyptian pharaoh? Nick.
Tutankhamun.
That is right, King Tut. Based on Maggie O'Farrell's novel of the same name, what Oscar-nominated film starring Jessie Buckley reimagines the life of William Shakespeare's family, focusing on his wife and son? Josh.
Wuthering Heights.
No, Wellesley, you have a chance.
Shakespeare. God, I don't go.
Nick.
Shakespeare in Love.
No, we are looking for Hamnet. The Ides of March, March 15th, is historically associated with the assassination of what Roman dictator? Julius.
Caesar.
Julius Caesar is right. The major Romance languages are French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and what 5th language? Alex.
Romanian.
Yes. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 outlawed the discriminatory practices adopted in many southern states after the Civil War, which included literacy tests as a prerequisite to voting. Which U.S. president signed this landmark legislation? Josh.
Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yes. Our next question is brought to us by a special guest. Take a look at your monitors.
Hi, I'm Danya Raphael, Vice President at Direct Federal Credit Union. Here's my question. Credit unions are not-for-profit financial institutions that are owned by the people they serve, not by outside shareholders. Which U.S. president signed the Federal Credit Union Act of 1934 to promote thrift and low-cost credit during the Great Depression?
Andrew.
FDR.
That is right. Built to bypass the dangerous whitewater rapids of the St. Lawrence River, the Lachine Canal is a historic waterway in what Canadian city? Andrew.
Montreal.
Yes. We are currently living in which geologic era? Cenozoic, Mesozoic, or Paleozoic? Andrew.
Cenozoic.
Cenozoic is right. In June 2025, thousands of citizens in what capital city of Bulgaria took to the streets to protest the government's plan to adopt the euro? Josh.
Sophia.
Yes. In Homer's Odyssey, Odysseus has his men bind him to the ship's mast so that he is safely able to hear the enchanting song of what creatures who lure men to their deaths? Andrew.
Sirens.
Sirens is right. In 2025, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the first blood test to diagnose what disease that's the most common type of dementia? Josh.
Alzheimer's.
Yes. All right, we're off to a great start, but let's take a moment to thank the folks who make this show possible. Major funding for High School Quiz Show is provided by Safety Insurance.
It happens every day. Someone falls for a phishing scam. Cyber risk coverage from Safety Insurance is designed to help protect businesses from data breaches, ransomware, and other cyber attacks. Safety Insurance will help you manage life's storms, even the cyber kind.
Additional funding is provided by the Museum of Science, Massachusetts Teachers Association, Brightbound, UMass Amherst, Subaru of New England, and Direct Federal Credit Union. All right, welcome back. The score is Sharon with 130 points, Wellesley with 10. All right, let's get back to the game. In the last few years of the 19th century, the Royal Geographical Society in London declared what continent to be the last frontier of exploration in the modern world? Nick.
Antarctica?
Yes. One of the top grossing films of all time, what 2025 live-action adaptation of a popular video game follows four misfits who are unexpectedly pulled into a bizarre cubic world? Alex.
The Minecraft movie?
Yes. Her marriage annulled after just 6 months, what fourth wife of Henry VIII was given a generous settlement and was referred to as the king's sister? Anne of Cleves, Jane Seymour, or Catherine of Aragon? Alex.
Anne of Cleves?
That is right. The Tony-winning play Yellowface is about a real-life moment when a white actor, Jonathan Pryce, was cast as a Eurasian character in a 1991 production of what musical set mainly in Vietnam? Casey.
The King and I.
No. Sharon, you do have a chance here. Julius.
My Saigon?
No, it is Miss Saigon. The word podcast is a combination of broadcast and iPod, a once popular music device made by what company? Andrew.
Apple.
Yes. Literally meaning wind water, what ancient Chinese system of spatial arrangement is said to promote the flow of good energy in a room? Julius.
Feng Shui.
Yes. The second longest river in Europe, what river was once the long-standing frontier of the Holy Roman Empire? Josh.
The Danube?
Yes. What is the most abundant chemical element in the human body, accounting for approximately 65% of a person's mass? Josh.
Carbon?
No. Wellesley, you have a chance. Grace?
Oxygen.
Oxygen is right. Archaeological evidence suggests that the wheel was invented about 5,500 years ago by which ancient civilization? Chinese, Mesopotamian, or Egyptian? Andrew.
Mesopotamian?
Yes. In a major comeback after trailing in polls, Anthony Albanese was re-elected Prime Minister of what country in May 2025? Alex.
Australia?
Yes. Quote, "And before we judge them too harshly, we must remember what ruthless and utter destruction our own species has wrought." This quote is from what famous H.G. Wells novel about a Martian invasion? Wyatt.
The War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds is right. The Statue of Liberty holds a torch in her right hand and a tablet in her left. The tablet is inscribed in Roman numerals with the date of the adoption of which document? Josh.
Declaration of Independence?
That is correct. In colonial America, most colonists made their own clothes. They raised sheep for wool and grew what plant for linen? Alex.
Flax?
Flax is right. Used in many skincare products for its anti-aging effects, retinol is a form of which vitamin? Josh.
A?
Vitamin A is right. Warned he would be overthrown by his own child, the Greek god Cronus swallowed all of his children except for what son who was protected by his mother? Alex.
Zeus?
Yes. And that is the end of the round. The score is Sharon with 240 points. Wellesley has 40 points. Let's hear it for both teams. Last week, Buckingham Brown and Nichols beat Cambridge Ringe in Latin to advance to the quarterfinals. And in today's match, Sharon and Wellesley are both hoping to advance. The head-to-head round is next, but first, we're going to take a minute to get to know the players a little bit better. We'll start with Sharon. Julius, you've eaten at least 1 grain of rice every day for how long?
Since August the 23rd, 2019.
That is an extremely specific date. Was there something that set you off on August 23rd?
I just realized that I've been eating rice every day as part of my diet. I have it breakfast, lunch, dinner.
So it says at least 1 grain of rice. Has there been like 11:59 p.m. moment when you're like, oh, I gotta go find,
Yes,
pop
exactly.
1 grain of rice in?
Yes, exactly like that.
All right, rice power. I like it. Josh, you live in an apartment building with a famous neighbor? Or...
Yeah, so the apartment building I lived in when my family lived in Chicago was also the one that Barack Obama used as like a gym.
Did he ever ask you to spot him on bench press or anything?
Maybe. I was a
Okay.
big baby.
Moving on. Alex, you got stuck somewhere pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I got stuck in an abandoned, well, not really abandoned, but a semi-abandoned Japanese town.
Was this on purpose? Did someone leave you there, or did you just get off the wrong train?
Not really got off the wrong train, but more like my train got delayed for several hours, which was a bit unfortunate because there was some really bad weather that day, so all the trains into that station got canceled.
This sounds like the start of a horror film, I have to be honest. But you finally got out.
Definitely.
All right. Andrew, you've been here before. I've been told there's a few things you want to clear up about your last appearance on High School Quiz Show.
Yes, of course. My famous frog video. First of all, the age. It was actually 8 years old. And the second correction, you may have realized the frog I talked about was not one that lives that long. What I'd realized is I had the wrong frog. What I was actually talking about was an African clawed frog, not an African dwarf frog.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the honesty, the clarity. Make a good journalist one day. Also on the Sharon team, we have alternates Avalee and Esme and Coach Zach Snow. Now over to Wellesley. Casey, both of your parents are teachers?
Yeah. My mom's a Spanish teacher, my dad's an English teacher.
What is that like at home? Is that a weird dynamic when you don't want to do your homework?
A little, but it's really helpful because they can help me a lot.
Do they teach at the school you go to?
My dad does.
What's that like?
It's nice. I see him in the hallway every now and then.
You just try to stay out of that English class? Grace, you have an incredibly epic streak going on Duolingo. How long is your streak?
1,225 days.
What language are you working on?
French.
Is it actually helping you get better at French?
I think it is, yeah.
Do you also take French at school?
Yeah.
Which one's more effective?
Definitely school.
Okay, good answer. Because they're watching, remember? The assistant principal's here. Nick, you're a big hiker. Do you have a favorite hike that you've done?
I really like the Beehive Trail in Acadia National Park. It's up in Maine, and it just goes up a little mountain, and I really like it.
Have you had any really kind of interesting run-ins on the trail?
I've seen some things, like when I went to Yellowstone, I saw deer and things, and bears and things like that from a distance.
Okay, bears. You just kind of threw that one in there, like that's kind of a major thing.
But from a distance.
Okay, from a distance is always important. Wyatt, I found out that you have been deprived of an important experience, culinarily speaking.
I have never had a Cheeto.
You've never had the experience of touching everything and having it turn orange?
No.
Do you feel sorry that you've never had a Cheeto? Or is at this point, is it like a competition with yourself?
Hearing that, no.
Filling out the Wellesley team are alternates Victoria and Devin and Coach Thomas Denman. Let's hear it for both teams. Okay, it's time for the head-to-head round. In this round, correct answers add 10 points to the team total, and wrong answers result in a 10-point deduction. Okay, the clock is set at 90 seconds. How about a little friendly handshake? Okay, good luck. Here we go. The Watergate scandal occurred during which presidency?
Nixon.
Yes. The 12 Days of Christmas is a traditional English carol that mentions how many golden rings?
5.
Yes. What organelle is chiefly responsible for producing ATP?
Mitochondria?
Yes. What alpine country is the setting of the classic children's novel Heidi? Switzerland. What annual horse race is traditionally held on the first Saturday in May at?
Kentucky Derby.
Yes. Congress belongs to which branch of the U.S. government?
Legislative.
Yes. American architect Walter Burley Griffin designed and planned what capital city of Australia?
Canberra.
Yes. In Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, the narrator is driven mad by a talking raven who repeats what word?
Nevermore.
Yes. Closely related to fog, what three-letter word refers to water droplets condensed upon cool surfaces, especially at night?
Do.
Yes. What present-day city in Morocco did the French call Maison Blanche?
Marrakesh.
No, Casablanca. Which planet is named after the Roman god of commerce, travel, and thievery?
Mercury.
Yes. What slang term for $1 is believed to come from the American frontier?
Buck.
Yes. What Boston sister city was formerly the imperial capital of Japan for more than 1,000 years?
Kyoto.
Yes. What 9-letter word refers to what happens when a star runs out of fuel for nuclear fusion and dies in a spectacular explosion?
Supernova?
Yes. And that is the end of the round. Let's take a look at the score. Sharon has 300 points. Wellesley has 90 points. Let's give it up for both teams. All right, it's time for the category round. Today's categories are Captain's Log, Bleacher Report, We're Rooting for You, Infinity Pool, Plead It, Just Plead It, and The Big Chill. All categories have 5 questions with increasing point value. The teams will choose 2 categories each and have the option to toss 1 question per category to the other team that the other team must answer. Players, you are able to confer. Sharon, who is your spokesperson? Josh? Wellesley, how about you? Grace. Wellesley, you've got some ground to make up, so the first category goes to you.
We'll do the big chill.
The Big Chill. These are questions about Antarctica. For 10 points. The waters around Antarctica are home to what endangered species, the largest animal to have ever lived on the planet?
Blue whale.
Yes, that is right. For 15 points. Littleton Harbor is one of 5 international gateways to Antarctica. It's located near Christchurch in what country?
New Zealand.
That's right. For 20 points. In the early 20th century, what famed explorer led an expedition to Antarctica that ended with the loss of his ship, the Endurance, but incredibly, no loss of human life?
We'll pass.
We're looking for Sir Ernest Shackleton. For 25 points in The Big Chill. March of the Penguins is a nature documentary about what Antarctic penguins, the tallest and heaviest of all penguin species?
Emperor penguins.
That's right. And for 30 points, nicknamed MacTown, what site run by the U.S. National Science Foundation is the largest research station in Antarctica?
McMurdo Station.
McMurdo Station.
No, I'm sorry, it's McMurdo Station. Sharon, your category.
Bleacher Report.
We'll take Bleacher Report.
Bleacher Report. These are questions about college sports. For 10 points. Northeastern, Harvard, Boston College, and Boston University compete in what annual ice hockey tournament first held in 1952?
The Beanpot.
That is right. For 15 points. The first intercollegiate rugby game in North America took place on May 15, 1874, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, when Harvard played what Montreal University?
McGill University.
That's right. For 20 points in Bleacher Report. In college football, the Holy War is an intense rivalry between the University of Utah and what school owned by the Mormon Church?
Yeah. Brigham Young University.
Yes. For 25 points. An NBA All-Star who currently wears Celtics jersey number 0, what power forward used to play for the Duke Blue Devils?
Jason Tatum.
Yes, that's right. And for 30 points, swimmer Katie Ledecky is the most decorated female U.S. Olympian with 14 medals, including 9 golds. She also set records while swimming for what California university?
Cal. Cal.
No, it is Stanford University. Wellesley, next category to you.
We'll do infinity pool.
Infinity Pool. These are questions about math. For 10 points, what is 40 squared minus 30 squared?
700.
Yes. For 15 points, the wholesale price of a necklace is $300. What is the retail cost if the markup is 60%?
$480.
That's correct. For 20 points, you pull 1 card from a shuffled standard deck of 52 cards. In lowest terms, what is the probability that it is a red queen?
1 in 26.
That is correct. For 25 points in infinity pool, what is the sum of the exterior angles, 2 per vertex, for a quadrilateral?
$1,080 degrees.
No, it is 720 degrees. And for 30 points, if the radius of a spherical ball is tripled, then its surface area increases by a factor of what number?
We'll pass.
That would be by a factor of 9. Sharon, final category to you.
Captain's log?
Captain's log. These are questions about fictional captains. For 10 points. Quote, "From hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee." What vengeful captain says this just before he dies in Moby Dick?
Ahab?
Captain Ahab is right. For 15 points, said to be inspired by a combination of Keith Richards, Bugs Bunny, and Pepe Le Pew, what character is played by Johnny Depp in the Pirates of the Caribbean film franchise?
Captain Jack Sparrow?
That's right. For 20 points in Captain's log. Known for his catchphrase, tra-la-la, what superhero is the alter ego of Mr. Krupp in a popular children's book series by Dave Pilkey?
Captain Underpants?
That's correct. For 25 points, who is the brilliant but misunderstood captain of the Nautilus, a technologically advanced submarine in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
Nemo.
Captain Nemo is right. And for 30 points, a member of the crew in the original Star Trek series, what character, played by George Takei, was later promoted to captain of the USS Excelsior?
Spock?
No, it is Captain Sulu. And that is the end of the category round. The score is Sharon with 380 points. Wellesley has 130 points. Let's hear it for both teams. Okay, we're heading into the final round of play, the lightning round. Correct answers add 20 points to the team total, and there is a 20-point deduction for incorrect answers. Clock is set. Here we go. What deposed queen was executed during the French Revolution? Alex.
Marie Antoinette?
Yes. In 1836, Texas declared its independence from what country? Alex.
Mexico.
Yes. In the children's novel Stuart Little, what kind of animal is Stuart? Grace.
Mouse.
Yes. 4-time NBA champion Steph Curry is a point guard for which team? Josh.
Golden State Warriors?
Yes. For more than 700 years, what European principality has been ruled by the Grimaldi family? Julius.
Monaco.
Yes. What daytime talk show host rose to fame as the first winner of American Idol? Casey.
Kelly Clarkson.
Yes. By a wide margin, which country currently leads the world in carbon dioxide emissions? Josh.
India?
No, China. What British term for cookies means twice baked? Alex.
Biscuit?
Yes. Name the only country with coastlines on both the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. Casey.
Turkey.
Yes. In the movie Shrek, Lord Farquaad wants to banish all fairy tale creatures from what fictional kingdom? Alex.
Far, far away.
No, Duloc. What is the pen name of the British author Charles Lutwidge Dodgson? Lewis Carroll. In 2025, who celebrated his 30th anniversary as conductor of the Boston Pops? Julius.
Lockhart.
Yes. Derived from the Latin for thread, what thin wire is found inside an electric light bulb? Andrew.
Filament.
Yes. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what fictional metal alloy bonds Alex?
Adamantanium?
No, it is adamantium. And the winning team this week is Sharon High with a score of 460 points. Wellesley finishes with 190 points. Congratulations to both teams for a great game. Sharon now moves on to the quarterfinals. Join us next week for the match between Natick and Waltham. It should be a good one. So be sure to join us right here on High School Quiz Show.